The Atomic Real Estate Show, bringing you the real estate of real estate. Brought to you by Danny Bennett Productions in partnership with Direct Subs.
This episode is brought to you by Baker Street Partners. Baker Street Partners is a company that specializes in real estate development and restoration in Manayunk and Roxborough. The team is dedicated to enhancing the distinct character of our neighborhood. They have an exciting new project underway, restoring the former steel mill that they call Trent Manayunk, which is going to have some new construction next to it as well as parking. Those interested can join the waitlist to find out more details and what's to come at www.trentmanayunk.com. They also have 6155 Ridge Avenue, which is a new building that sits right along Roxborough's business district with units available to lease now. You can contact them on their website, www.bspdevelopment.com, their email address, rentals@baker-partners.com, or Instagram @Baker Street Partners.
Hey guys, Ryan Dolan here with Nick Cessna. We have a very special guest today for another episode of the Atomic Real Estate Show. We have Jared Pontz here. He's the owner and president of Direct Mortgage Lending Company. We've had two of his LOs on the show before, Dan and Lindsay, who are outstanding, but this is the guy that kind of cut his teeth before them. He also is principal at Elfant Pontz Properties, which we're extremely excited to learn about. So we're going to learn a lot about real estate investing today, how to get access to cash, BRRRR method, all the stuff that our guests always kind of chat with us. So thank you for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So we just met. I thought we actually may have interviewed before, but we actually kind of just met. So Tell me your background. You're local to the area.
I'm from Mount Airy, here in Philadelphia, born and raised.
Nice.
I'm a homer. Love my Philly teams, love my Phillies, love everything about Philly. Grew up in Mount Airy, went to school locally, and went to Masterman Middle School, went to Central High School.
Did you go to college?
Went to college, went to University of Delaware for undergrad, got my my MBA from Temple, night school, while I was working in my early 20s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are your parents college educated?
Yeah.
Really?
My mom went to Syracuse, my dad went to Penn.
Are they from the area as well?
Yeah, both Philly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're hearing big names too, like good school names, because we're not here in the parishes that we're used to. So I know the education's got to be a big part of your background, obviously. I mean,
especially if you went to Masterman and
Yeah.
Central, your parents must have been highly like education focused with you.
100%. And they were also in the public schools. So it was like I grew up in Mount Airy near Chestnut Hill. CHA was there, Penn Charter.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go to those private schools.
Sure.
My parents were like public school all the way. If a kid like you doesn't go to public school, who's going to go to public school?
Well, they picked probably the best public schools.
Well, you had to
in
test
Philadelphia.
in. Well, yeah,
for
you had
you
to
at
test
the
in
time.
back then,
Sure.
for sure. But yeah, I mean, of course, education was important. No question about
Now, are they in the background with real estate finance, or are they totally separate backgrounds?
Yeah, my parents have nothing to do with the business. No, they're just my parents. My dad's a lawyer. My mom's an artist.
Oh, wow.
I met my current business partner when I was in high school. He was already established doing his own thing. I just met him sort of through the neighborhood, through family relationships. Had not talked to him, been in touch with him, but I knew him.
That's Bob.
Bob Elfant, yeah.
And he's much older than you.
Yeah, Bob's much older than me.
So you met him when you were in high school, and he kind of he took a little liking to you.
Not at all.
No,
not at all. I
okay,
mean, we
good.
met. It was like
yeah.
one off. We knew each other through his kids and whatever. And then I graduated from college. I ended up going to the United States Peace Corps. So I was in the Peace Corps after college. And I had like a year to kill between.
What's that?
Peace Corps. So it's like the military with no guns.
Okay.
Basically, you go. I mean, it's a bad example, but
They do like UN missions and stuff like that.
you work for the state. It's an agency associated with the State Department, and you go to different countries around the world. There's like a mini embassy for the Peace Corps in each country, a director and staff, and different volunteers, and you get placed around the country.
Are they paid? Are you paid while you're there?
Small stuff. I think I got like $160 or $180 a month or something.
Do you
which was
what's
a
the
lot of money.
What's the incentive? Do people get like school loan stuff, or what's the incentives for it?
The incentive, you get good experience out of it.
Okay.
You feel good. You're helping people. I actually wanted to go into the military. I went through all the classes. I took my test. I got approved. I was going to be an intelligence officer in the Army. And I wouldn't say I chickened out, but I learned about the Peace Corps during that process. I was like, maybe this is more my vibe than actual military service. I knew I wanted to do something, not go quite into the working world. And so
Their main focus is helping people then.
Exactly. There's it's no fighting. I mean, you work in schools, you teach English, you work with health centers, work with small business nonprofits, and other various things. And you're living in another country for 2.5 years, living amongst the people. I lived in a small village with like 150 people, no running water sometimes.
Damn.
Killed the chicken and then brought it in the house and ate the chicken 3 hours later. Kind of.
Where was this at? Like Africa or?
I lived in Armenia.
Wow.
Damn. So you have a totally different perspective on things after you get back from a mission like that.
100%.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I've heard of it. Just like I've heard of Peace Corps before. I've never met anyone that was part of it, or that's pretty cool, man.
So when you go in, I guess if this is definitely off whatever topic, but when you're going in, you're like, hey, I'm not like the combat type guy. I want to go in and actually help infrastructure, teach, learn, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, combat military wasn't even. That's not even part of the discussion. That was.
What did your parents say when you?
My parents are supportive.
You're like, hey, I'm thinking about the military, but hey, I'm going to Peace Corps. Were they like, what are you doing, kid?
Yeah, figure it out.
$165 a month. They don't give me any tuition reimbursement. Sure.
So $165 a month in an Eastern European post-Soviet country was a lot of money.
Oh, nice.
I was living a good life with
Really?
that kind of money. I wasn't a king or rich, but I wasn't struggling. And I didn't need much. I was 23 and happy to be experiencing a new culture and running around the country, doing different things.
Were you starting to learn the language?
I learned the language pretty fluently when I was there. I don't speak it so well now because it's been 15 years, but I spoke. That's how I
am with Italian. Like I used to speak it. I don't speak it at all anymore. I don't know.
If you don't use that sort of thing,
you lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you got back from the Peace Corps, did that kind of springboard you into this?
So
position?
Here's the story. So after college, I knew I was going to the Peace Corps. I'd already been accepted. I already had my everything was set up. I knew where I was going, but I had like 9 or 10 months, and I knew Bob's daughter, and she and I grabbed coffee or something, and she was like, "Yeah, my dad's thinking of hiring an assistant." And I was like, let me call him. So I called him up. We connected. He brought me in. He paid me, some cash under the table. I basically was his assistant for like 9 months. I was 22, right out of college. He was established, already owned a lot of real estate, owned Elfant Pontz Realtors at the time, owned my company was called Art and Elfant Inc. at the time. It's now Elfant Pontz Properties, Direct Mortgage. He was very active. And I basically sat across the table from him and made phone calls for him, ran and did some collections for him, did a lot of administrative stuff, and listened to every single call he was involved in. He coached me, he taught me, and he didn't know I was going to be with him. This was just like I was testing out the waters for him to see if he wanted an assistant or not long term. And we became buddies. We had lunch together, breakfast together a lot.
How the hell do you go from being one of back then he was blazing the path of I mean, he owns a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and he did back then.
So, how did you go from being his assistant to being his partner? How does that happen?
So he knew I was leaving. I went to the Peace Corps. He kept in touch with me. He sent me the scores of the Phillies games. He would email me. Back then, you had to go to an internet cafe to check your email. So I didn't check email very often. But when I got it, there were always emails from Bob telling me the scores. And
does he only have daughters?
He's got a young son who works for us. He's one of our rental agents. Great family. His son's a good kid. Known him forever. We kept in touch. And when Peace Corps was coming to an end, he was like, "Hey, come back." He's like, "I don't really have a job for you, but come back. I'll figure something out. But but you're a good guy, and we should do something together." And I was like, "I don't know what I want to do in life, but I'm not sure this is it. But sure, I'll kill some time." So I came back, paid me like $30K a year or something like that, $28,000 a year, and I started working across the desk from him, being his assistant at 25 years old.
And he just liked the phone call when you were 22. That I guess we
built a rapport. We were, I was running out getting cash in paper bags for him, we hung out, and I wasn't, he liked. I think he's told me since he liked that I didn't have any fear. Like I was willing to do anything he needed me to do, and I was a quick learner. And I wasn't like, I'm not like book smart, but I would say I'm more street smart than book smart.
Sure.
And he's like that, and we clicked. And so one thing led to another. I was doing that for him, and about 6 or 8 or 10 months in, I forget exactly how, he had a property management company, and that property management company was led by a guy who sort of fell off a cliff. He had a breakdown. And one day we didn't have anybody to run the management company. He was like, "Hey,
property manager will do that to you."
and one day, and he said, "Jared, I need your help." And I slid from being his assistant into running his property management division, which at the time had like 250 or 300 units. So it wasn't nothing, but it was. And I went in this guy's office and spent a month just like looking through his computer systems, looking through his files, looking at the key cabinets, and just figuring it out.
And this is back in the day a little bit, right? So it's way harder than how it would be now to just kind of pick up.
There was no fancy system.
You can't sit there and chat GPT how to learn.
And I didn't know anything about it. But we had a rental agent. We had a couple admin people. There was like a small team and a couple rental guys, and I did that for a while.
So you ran.
I got that together. I ran that. I sort of got that under control. And then Direct Mortgage was a much smaller company. Had $1 million or $2 million in receivables, and it was we were doing taxi cab medallion loans back then. Very little real estate. And I started doing some of that with him, learning that business. And one thing led to another, and we started, doing well and trying to build these things a little bit. And then I went to him and I said, I want to go back to business school. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is a little too mom and pop for me. I think I want, I didn't know any better. I was like, I want a fancy car. I want a big title. I want to go to New York. And he was like, grass is always greener. He sat me down. We had a lot of discussions. And he was like, this was like 2 years in. I was probably 27 when we started having these conversations. And he was like, I don't want you to go anywhere. I think there's a future here. Like I can envision you like owning this company one day, be my partner somehow. And
this is at 27 years old. He's telling you this. I mean, this is pretty good stuff.
And I'm responding saying, yeah, but I love you, but, and eventually came around to the idea of direct mortgage. We knew direct mortgage was a moneymaker and a real opportunity to grow. And we basically said, hey, let's focus and build out direct mortgage, see how that goes. I wanted to develop at the time. So I was like, I want to build and I want to develop, which I did a little bit of at one point. And he was like, look, I'll support you. We ran it together for many years. He slowed down
at that point of when you were that 2 years into running the management, did you own any real estate yourself?
No, I didn't have any money.
Okay.
I was broke. No one gave me. I didn't have any money. I was broke.
So he's saying this to a 27-year-old that owns nothing and doesn't really have much money.
I didn't have any money. I think I bought my first property with $3,000.
So he really just saw like the drive in you, and that's what he was betting on his money on his horse on.
I think so. I mean, I know so because that's what he's communicated to me.
Well, you showed him ultimately, right? Like you made the call initially. A couple years later, you're sitting across from him, being a chameleon, shadowing him, and then you get catapulted into a role that you could have very easily been like, hey, I have no clue how to do this, and fear and quit the same way.
I mean, I think you nailed it. I think life is serendipitous in some ways, and I think one person's sort of demise opened up a opportunity that I stepped into, and I think I hit a home run. I did well at it. I didn't run away. I didn't cower from it.
And you weren't asking for a bunch more money. You were like, hey, I want to go to school and then go earn my money on my own doing something different.
I didn't think there was an opportunity to do what I wanted to do.
Man, don't you wish you knew what you do now, huh?
Well, that's life, right? Yeah. And it's sliding door moment. I could have said, I had already gotten in business school. So I went through the whole process. I got in University of Maryland Business School. And then I went to him and was like, because I didn't want to go to him before I knew I had all my ducks lined up. I was crying. Like I was like a little.
I was just going to say, so real talk, you're a super ambitious guy, obviously take risks. Do you regret not going to Maryland and business school, or you can't even look back in the rear view at this point?
No, I mean, it's worked out amazingly. We have an amazing partnership. He's a great guy. Company's grown gangbusters, got a great team in place working with me now.
He probably saw a little bit of himself when he scooped you. I mean, if you're able to jump into that, can you imagine at 25 running 300 some units or whatever the hell that was? I'd be out of that office so fast and not back.
Especially after a dude just
it was a mess. It wasn't just like you stepped into
it was a dumpster fire that you got taken over, and you had zero clue how to run it.
But you just
now was he micromanaging you, or is he like, you got this, Jared?
I mean, he was involved, but no micromanagement. No, I mean, we met regularly. We to this day we talk pretty much every day about something, even just to say hi or, hey, did you see the Eagles game last night? That was ridiculous. Like we're in touch pretty frequently. But back then, I mean, we met a lot. We had breakfast most mornings together. But and I checked in with him. I got a lot of advice, a lot of feedback from him. He mentored the heck out of me. And I mean, I had a million questions. I didn't know what I was doing.
That was worth way more than any business school you could have went to.
100%. I don't mentor a lot of people, but I have a lot of people.
That's business school right there.
That's
It's
right.
live and in session.
You learned more from him going to breakfast with him than you could have learned at any business school.
That's right. Well, I still went to business school at nights during this period of time. And after that dumpster fire period.
Was that pressure from your parents?
No, I really wanted it. I felt at the time that it would validate me. I felt like it would, in the eyes of other people.
Isn't that interesting in our industry?
well,
It's never enough. Like you're sitting at a table with one of the most influential guys in real estate. Like you're there.
I was already meeting with the bank president of our lenders. I was already doing those things, but I always felt I had imposter syndrome a little bit.
But that's our age group. That's our age group. We're in our 40s. They were really pounding it into us in school. If you don't go to college, you won't be anything.
Right, it was
and then if you don't get this degree, you won't amount to anything.
It's different now. You hear a lot of people, if you listen to podcasts, or
now it's saying that school's a waste of fun.
It changes right now. It's like, if you can streamline it.
I think school's a
waste
waste
of fun. You're a Philly guy, right? So we always kind of have the same thing. It's like, you know your way around, you're street smart. But it's like, exactly, you need this big piece of paper to validate you. Why? Because you grow up in the city and you don't feel like you're smart as those other guys. It's crazy.
I think that's because of our age group. Did I really do?
I still think there's a lot of value in a formal education.
No doubt.
Whether it's the book smarts you learn, or just the social interactions with people and how to navigate teamwork and authority figures like teachers and that sort of stuff. And business school wasn't a total waste to me. I did gain confidence, and I did gain sort of a perspective that I don't think the main thing I gained at business school was that I didn't need business school. So, but I appreciated having it.
Sure.
Like I was going through business school, and all my I don't know what the other students, whatever, they were all positioning themselves for future interviews and future jobs.
Yes.
And I was sort of, maybe not the only kid, but I certainly, in my circle, the kid that was like sitting back, not really worrying about any of that, because I knew where my path was. I was there for myself. I wasn't there to impress anybody at that point.
And you were a few years older than most of the people that were there, probably, right?
I was young. I mean, I was 28. So I think that's about the age of. I may have actually been younger than a lot of the kids. Business school, a lot of kids go and work for 4, 5, 6 years, then go back when they're around 30, 28, whatever, to get their.
But you don't have the fear, like most of those guys don't know where the hell they're going, right? They're in the school just because they think they could get through their current company.
That's right.
Or they just don't have any guidance. You had the hard part done. That's why you're at that precipice. Like, do I go to Maryland? You're already at the table. This guy wants you to pick it up and run. Right. And it's just you to have the confidence to say, what, screw it, I can do this anyway, right?
What was the deciding factor for you where you were like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stay with this company. I'm gonna stay with Bob. Like, what was that for you? Do you remember?
I mean, I did a pro and a con list. I mean, I talked to everybody that would listen to me, get guidance, just trying to understand. I was young. I didn't know a lot about anything. I just, at the end of the day, I just had a good. I was nervous about the decision. But I just went with my gut, and I went with my feelings. And at that point, I had a little bit in me that was like, look, if this doesn't work out, I'm still young enough to pivot.
Yeah.
So I was, so it wasn't like I was making a decision at 40, and you're like, oh, what I do now is going to determine the rest of my financial life.
And you weren't married and had no kids at the time.
No,
so
I was single.
It's a lot easier to make those decisions then.
That's right.
And that's it. And so then so now you're in real estate, and now you're in lending and property management. So how does direct mortgage come about? Like when you're doing the property management stuff, how do you say, you know what, there's more here?
Yeah. So direct mortgage, Bob Elfant's father started direct mortgage in like the 60s.
Okay.
But it was a few $100,000, and he was lending to like friends.
Yep.
And people he knew. And it was again, a few $100,000. Sure. Bob took it over and grew it to a couple million. And he transitioned to taxi cab medallions, as I said. And at the time, fortunately, we got out of that business before that market crashed.
Uber killed them, right?
Uber killed him. Also, some New York banks came in and made it very tough on Philadelphia lenders. But we were out of that business for the most part. And Bob had transitioned before me into real estate, was doing very small, scatter site, very hard money loans. And I got into it, and I was younger. I met people. Started doing more mainstream loans with mainstream investors, very small. and grew it to 3 million, then 4 million, then 5 million. And
at this point, you still didn't own properties, you yourself.
No, I forget exactly. I think right around that time, I bought a duplex in East Falls, and I lived in one of the apartments, and I rented out the other.
Genius.
And that's what I did that for a few years, and then I refinanced that, took the money out, and then bought my next property. And all of the real estate, and we flipped a couple properties in that interim, but we didn't make any money.
By yourself or you and Bob?
Me and Bob. I mean, I was the guy doing like the heavy lifting, but me and Bob were together. He came out.
Was it like your idea? Like, hey, I want to flip this property.
Yeah.
He was like, all right, kid.
Yeah.
And
yes. Yeah, exactly.
So he let you like.
But
educate yourself
the idea of those were never. I never wanted to flip properties. The idea of that was to learn the real estate business. Sure. So I always had like, if I won't learn it if I'm not in there. So I learned how to do the rough plumbing. All the miscellaneous things that come up in these projects that nobody writes in their pro formas
Sure.
or in their budgets. And so I learned the process from start to finish. And I think that really helped me in direct mortgage because I was able to relate early on to investors and what people were going through and the issues and the problems.
There's so many investors that you encounter, and you encounter more of them than I do, and builders that have no idea how actually anything works in a house. Am I wrong there?
No, 100%.
And it's when you see people that actually want to learn everything and they're asking all sorts of questions, you're like, this guy's going to get it.
Right.
They're the people in my mind.
It's not rocket science.
That make
anybody
it out.
can learn this stuff.
Sure.
Like anyone can get into real estate and learn. It's not.
I didn't even make it out of high school, and I learned it.
Right.
You know?
I say that to people all the time. If I can do it, anyone can do this.
Well, because you
know what I mean?
weren't
Like, you just
a
gotta be
real
hard.
estate guy, you weren't a sales guy, you're not a financial background guy, kind of, right? Like that. None of that sounds like that was your path.
I'm not a sales guy by nature. I'm
And
an
you wanted
introvert.
to do that
myself.
just to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
You wanted to do that just to learn.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I want to make money too, but yeah,
Sure.
the original idea was let's flip a couple properties. We'll make some money. I'll learn construction. I'll learn the ropes, and if it's profitable, we can do some more of this. But that's not really the goal here. But I did want to get into bigger development, which I ultimately did, and developed a bunch of apartment buildings and that sort of thing, which I've since kind of backed away from slightly.
But that helped you build your base. So I'm thinking of it because I, do residential mortgage lending. So I think of it outside sales. I'm getting into these rooms with developers that ultimately I want to work with. Maybe I know nothing about it. So is that kind of what your mindset was? So now that you're linking, because you got to go out and find your own investors, right? Yeah. Like you were doing that all on your own. Yeah. So why would they listen to a 27, 28-year-old guy that doesn't do a ton? It's because you had the knowledge of what was going on already?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but my guess is it's layered. I mean, I think I knew a little bit about what I was talking about. I certainly wasn't an expert at the time.
Sure.
But I don't talk. I don't know. I mean, I made friends with some of the guys. I mean, I wasn't afraid to get on the ladder. I wasn't afraid to get in the ditch. I mean, I sort of don't talk refined. So like my sentences aren't really, aren't clean. Hence this conversation.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. And
I think all of our viewers know already. Yeah.
So I related in that way. I was a hustler. I still am. Like I wasn't willing to take no for an answer. Like I follow up 10, 15 times until I get the answer. My partner Bob jokes with me all the time that he calls it, I do a Jared. He's what he likes to say. Like I'll be talking to a vendor or my accountant or a lawyer, and I won't get the answer I went in wanting, and I'll ask the question 8, 10, 15 different ways until I get the answer I want. Doesn't always work that way.
Sure.
But I'm not the guy that's gonna be like, well, can I do this? What about this? And they're like, no, that doesn't really work. I'm like, why doesn't that work? That works. And this is why it works. No, Jared, you can't do that. Well, what if I did it this way? What if I do it that way? And you just keep going until you find the pattern that works. And it's not always perfect, and you don't always get what you want. But that was my mentality since I started out.
So now, I mean, this is awesome, right? Because a lot of people think, hey, you just get out of college, you get your major, this is what you're going into. You had time and real circumstance that kind of linked up, and you said, you know what, screw it. And you were actually trying to convince yourself out of it. Like you had the opportunity sitting there. Yeah.
I had no idea either director was these companies were gonna be like they are now. Like every year, I pinch myself. I'm like, whoa.
Was he? I don't know him. I just know of him. Yeah. Was he not flashy with money? Didn't have it wasn't driving around expensive cars,
He's really rich,
living extravagantly.
Oh, I like.
So
this.
did you? Did you know the extent of what he owned and all that stuff? Did you know he was making a bunch of money back then, or were you like, I don't really?
Yeah, I mean, without getting too deep into that, his personal business, I knew he was successful. I knew he was making money. I knew enough. I knew pretty much everything, but I knew enough. But certainly I looked up to that and wanted to go in that direction.
But you wanted to do it on your own.
I did. I mean, I had his mentorship, I had his guidance, I had his foundation.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I had to go out there and build it and make the right decisions and ask the right questions and find the right clients and whatever, all that sort of stuff.
So then he put a lot of trust in you, and then you started to, I imagine, started to build his business up, and then it became your guys' businesses. And then what was your stages of real estate investing? So you did the flips, and you had mentioned that you were doing apartment stuff, and then now you've backed up. I want to retouch on that and see why you did that. Like, why are you backing away from that? But what were your stages? So you started with the flips. You had your duplex, and then where did you go from there?
So it wasn't a ton. And then I did a 4-unit condo conversion.
Okay.
Very early on, which was a disaster.
All still while you were living in the duplex.
Yeah, I owned the duplex at the time. And that was a disaster. We sold, we got out of those. Everything turned out well. Just I didn't know enough, so I was making a lot of mistakes.
Okay. So you didn't make the money that you should have.
That's right.
But you didn't lose.
Right, broke even. But spent 2 years on it and whatever.
It's a great education.
Good education. And then somebody came to me and Bob and said, "Hey, first deal." Somebody came to us and said, "Hey, I have something. I need a partner. I want to bring some partners in." This guy knew his stuff.
So they approached you for like a JV, like a joint venture.
Yeah, got in on that. Put a little bit of my money in that I had saved up over the last few years, not a ton. Mm-hmm. Actually partnered with Hal and Gary. Uh-huh. So I went to Gary because Gary was one of my early on clients.
Gary Jonas from Hal Properties.
Gary Jonas, yep, good guy, great company. I lent to them back in the day when they were doing small temple deals. One of my early clients that I had kind of got on my own, so to speak. And I went to Gary and I said, "Hey, you want to help build this?" Partner with it, came together, and then that snowballed. And I think I did. I was involved in like 250 units over like a 4-year period from like 2000. I'd say like 2015 to 2019. Wow. And then COVID hit, and the world was falling apart. And it was a very scary time with a mortgage company that I had grown at the time to have like 40 or 50 million in receivables at the time. It's now since doubled, and I was scared as hell.
Sure.
I thought I was gonna lose everything. I had like talking to my estate attorney, like doing all kinds of crazy stuff to just like protect my family.
Sure.
And Bob and I were like game planning, and it didn't turn out so bad. We were able to. The first few weeks were scary, and then we sort of dealt with everything, and over the few
That's
months.
around the timeline that our business relationship kind of started with through Steve and Andy at BSP. We were partners, and we were doing a ton of flips together. I was doing stuff on my own, and then you were funding a bunch of the shit that me and them were doing as JV projects, joint venture investments. You were funding it all, and I never met you. I didn't know you. I never talked to you because Steve handled that. Me and Andy were handling acquisitions and construction, and Steve handled all the financial stuff. I would just know of you from, Jared's handling this.
I actually own some properties with Steve and Andy.
Correct.
After I did the deal with Hal, Bob and I bought a few little properties together, and I met Steve and Andy, and they had another partner at the time as well. CJ, and Andy's dad, and they needed some financial backing on something, and we helped them out, and that led to us developing several deals together.
That started with like Green Lane, and then like the Roxborough Ave.
Exactly. And developed just an amazing guys, like an amazing part. I couldn't have.
I was going to say you landed like lifetime dream kind of partners there.
I'll be friends and partners with them for the rest of my life, and hopefully we'll continue to do some deals and stuff like that. And then they kind of grew out of that and have turned into a big force on their own. And then they started flipping properties. And when they started flipping they were flipping, but they had stopped and just started doing bigger projects. They went back to flipping, and we sort of started working together, lending them.
Because they were doing they were doing new construction a while. Like for a while, they were doing flips and rentals, and then it was they got into apartment stuff. They kind of got away from the flips, and then that's when like they approached me and they're like, "Yo, why don't we just do a bunch together? Right. You keep doing it on your own," and that worked out. So that business concept worked out, and then it just got to the point where it was like they were like, "There we go."
Do it on your own.
They were like, I was doing it on my own at the time too, but we're doing like I was half of the stuff that I was doing was with them, and half of the stuff I was doing was just by myself. And then they were kind of like, "Yo, why don't you just call Jared directly, and you do if you want hard money for this kind of stuff." And then I just started doing this all my own, and then they brought in Steve's younger brother, and then now he's doing the kind of stuff like that
you were doing before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, John, Steve's younger brother, is great.
This episode is made possible by our friends over at Milady Landscaping. Milady Landscaping is your go-to service for all of your residential and commercial landscaping and hardscaping needs. You can reach them on Instagram at Milady Landscaping, miladylandscaping.com, and 267-836-2102. Milady Landscaping handles all of our properties, my personal and investment properties.
So John, Steve's younger brother, awesome, really knows his stuff. Sort of same story. Didn't know much, got into it, has learned it. And you know, when we were dealing, I mean, you do awesome stuff.
Thank you.
You know, we were always impressed with the level of work, the quality, the cleanliness, the job site, all that sort of stuff. And then you came to us. We built a really nice rapport and relationship. Sure. And we love coming out to your projects. I love seeing the pictures. I mean, you do like
today's actually the first time that we've met in person, and we've been doing business for how many years now?
Never met in person?
We've never met in person.
Seriously?
I don't go to all these events, dude. Like
I don't either, by the way.
I don't go to none of that shit. Like I don't do I know we've I don't do like the networking like he does. Like he likes to like.
I don't like to.
Right? But he's with coffee with guys. Like I don't drink coffee. Yeah. He's out having beer. I don't drink. You know what I mean? Like so, it's like I don't do none of that shit anymore. It's like I'm a very like just pick the phone up. Like, hey, is this deal good? Yep, cool. All right, let's go. Let's just keep fucking. So
that's
rolling.
Interesting. So on that point, so I'm sort of known within my family circle, my life circle, my business circle. I don't like any of that stuff either. Yeah. I don't go to a lot of lunches. I don't go to any happy hours. I don't go to like
holiday parties,
Jeffrey events, or any of that holiday parties. I don't do a lot of that stuff. I've always said, but I know how to generate business.
Sure.
I just do it differently.
Yeah.
But I've learned over the years that some of that stuff is actually really valuable, and you got to be able to say yes, like something like this.
Sure.
Like you got to know when to say yes and when to say no. And you're probably a guy like me, a guy like you, you're probably going to say no more than you should.
Yeah.
But you got to say yes to some of it because there is some real networking value. There is just value to people seeing you, to talking to people, to getting out there.
I agree.
You never know.
I should probably do more of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just feel like I'm just very stuck in my ways. You know what I mean? I'm all about like refining my process. I'm stuck in my ways, and it's like
but you just think from that scale of maybe going to like happy hour. You didn't think you were going to do a podcast, neither did I, and we're doing it right. Like there is some things you just say yes to, right? And it's I don't know why, but it's like okay, there's a lot of waste of time in our field though. Right. You're hanging out with the wrong crew that's freeloading that just wants to be out and wants to tab picked up. I think that's what we learn. You know, and trust me, we've all done it. You spend thousands of dollars.
I think you're right there. I think you hit the nail on the head. I see it. You know, I hate fake people.
Yeah,
I fucking hate fakeness.
So that's just not going to be your scene.
I hate like the fugazi like facade bullshit that people put on, and it's like, don't fucking smile on my face. I know we don't like each other. You know what I mean? Like you know, it's like we're not the same people. Like so, like I hate that type of shit. So I think that's why I just stay away from a lot of that. But then when there is real people, like once I feel like.
There's more real people doing that stuff than we realize.
Yeah, but like I think like
a lot of people don't want to be doing it also.
It's so like it's such a cliche thing. Like real recognizes real, but it 100% does. And me and you had a conversation when we first started with the lending, and you had basically said something like, "Dude, I'm not like I don't like meet up for coffee and stuff like that." And I was like, he's one of my people.
Well, this is
like he's one of my fucking people.
Well, on that note, one of my I won't say one of my famous lines, but I should copyright the line. Like I probably said 1 million times. In-house and like meetings and stuff, like or to a client. Like, I don't love wasting. I'm not the guy that's gonna be at the Union League having a drink or wherever. And I'm using that. I'm not doing that as intentional. Like, that's time. Sure. Instead of spending that time there, I'm like busting my hump to get Nick the deal closed on time and making sure my team is on point and analyzing the deal or whatever the scenario may be. But I truly do believe, and there's exceptions to all of this. And like we just said, there's time to do all this stuff. But you got to be really judicious because you could waste away every day of the week with a breakfast, a lunch, a happy hour. It's
Some
like,
people get
when
caught
am I
up
getting
in
my work
that
done?
too. Some people get really caught up in that, spinning wheels
Well,
and that kind of stuff.
Listen, it's kind of, you have to have the balance because I pivoted now from as I got an older family, right, from the happy hours to the coffees, right? I'll do there. But when guys say, oh, you're such a wimp, why don't you come out? Right. I say, hey, do you want me 100% tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, working on your client's file while you're sleeping in bed? Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I'll be doing.
You also want to get home and put your kids to bed, have lunch with them. I mean,
I know how valuable that stuff ultimately is.
Yeah.
Like my phone,
Nothing replaces that.
a couple times a week is off at 6, and it just got to be, right? I have to give my kids the attention.
That's why I love doing business with people that have a family and have kids, because you have something more to work for than yourself. That's right. And not even just kids. A wife, a partner, whatever it is, you have other people relying on you. They're the type of people I like doing business with.
100%.
I just trust them more. I don't know. Like, I just end up trusting those people.
It's so
more.
funny. We look at, when we're making loans to people, we look at that too. We say, do they have something to lose? That's what we call it. And something to lose is like a family. You got kids in private school, those sorts of things. It's not the Porsche in the driveway or the Range Rover. It's not the fancy beach house. We look at the family a lot of times. Like we Google everybody.
Sure,
we have a whole underwriting process. But at the end of the day, we that's like literally a conversation. Not always, but it's a conversation point where like.
Well, because are you going to lend to someone that's trying to hit a grand slam and just make a bunch of money in their pocket? Usually that could go belly up. Someone's not, like Nick has said it all the time. He'll make as much money as he possibly can. There is zero chance his family will ever feel it. Right. This way or that, right? Like if they come, they're not going to touch any of his personal stuff. Right. We're all like that, right?
Yeah,
no, it's so fascinating there because you get that perspective as you get older. You're just like, well, yeah, making the money's cool, but now you guys are sliding in the mentorship part. Yeah. Then you guys don't even realize it. It's kind of sounding like we're getting to that phase, right? We're starting to hire younger people that kind of were like us when we're little, and it's 100%. Scary to think that.
You have a great team. Like
it's really scary to think.
You've developed a great team.
Yeah. Your guys are great. They are. I met them for the first time, and I pass all my clients over to like things that are a little out of my realm. I kick it right over to those guys.
And you have one of my favorite people in the world working for you, Nicole Bells. I mean, she's the fucking best.
Oh yeah,
she smiled and smirked at me on the way out of the office and said, "Good luck."
We're big fans of the Bells family.
I love her.
Yeah,
She's
Nicole's
awesome.
amazing.
So the business has been up and running for about 15 years now.
I mean, I've been in the business now for almost 20, but I've been partners since end of 2008, so 17 going on 18 years, and we've just been growing year over year, about 100 million right now, sort of in loans receivable. That's dollars on the street or pending draws, and when I started, it was like 2 or 3 million. So like that's I'm very proud of that. Bob and I are both proud of that. Like that,
you probably have a couple million with just me right now.
That's very exciting. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I think there for sure is.
Yeah. And that's through. So you take
and that's short term, by the way.
That's short term, right? So you go from 2 to 100, and this is just through doing your due diligence, underwriting these deals properly, vetting the right clients and things like that, and then just building these relationships over the 17, 18 years,
and growing a great team. I mean, this isn't just me. We got Molly Gavin, who's running operations. You got Janine, Gloria, Becky, Dan, Lindsay, Bob, Nicole, Rachel. I mean, you got a whole team of people doing different things. And over time, we've added people. Like it's all been organic, which has sort of been, I think, a little bit of the secret sauce. Like I haven't tried to go national. I haven't tried to bring in a big private equity partner. Our approach is sort of slow and steady wins the race. Let's not be too greedy. We want to make more every year. We want to grow the business every year. But we also want to do it controlled.
Sure.
And sort of do it our way with the ability to do what we want when we want and not sort of be owned by, somebody else. I think
your processes are great.
Thank you.
Like they're fucking awesome. And it's like for my wife deals with all of your admin people that I don't really deal with, like Molly and Janine and all them. And she always says like, wow, they make this so easy for me. I'll do like when we're done here, or I'm going to go over to that desk over there. I'm going to do a couple draw requests. I'm going to put those draw requests in. It's right on your website. Super easy. I'll go there and do that. Boom. I immediately get an email instantaneously. As soon as I hit send, boom, it sends me an email from Molly. And then within like, I would say 15 minutes, I'll have an email and or a text from Dan or Lindsay. Hey, I'm going to go tomorrow, or can I go today and inspect it for the draws?
That's right.
And it's like, it's so fucking fast. And then I have that money from the draws sometimes like within 24 hours of the time that I actually put in for the draw request. So could I borrow money cheaper? Yes. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right? Am I going to get
We're
those?
not the low-cost option.
Am I going to get those services? Absolutely fucking not.
That's right.
Right? So when it's funny because when people call me, and I get these calls all the time, texts, calls, emails, hey, I'm a lender, this and that, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm fucking rude, right? So I'm just like, yeah, I don't need.
I've heard that too.
I'm not looking
Not
for.
from Nick.
I'm not looking for a lender, buddy.
Yeah.
See you later, and they're like, but see you later. Take me off your fucking list, and I hang up.
I appreciate that.
It's like once a week at least, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and sorry for all the people that I've told to fuck off on the phone before, but it's like I hate cold calling. Like it's so awkward.
Yeah.
And but that's why I stick with you guys because of those processes. Like I'm telling you, hands down, it's the fucking most efficient company I've ever fucking dealt with.
So let me stop you then. And so are you just doing beginning investors, mid-sized investors, big investors? Like who's reaching out to you? Because a lot of these people are saying, well, yeah, we know Nick's using you guys, but like who can reach out to you?
So if you don't mind, let me just touch one thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So everything you just said, I appreciate hearing. And I also want to say I sort of know that. And the reason I know that is because from day one, when I was working in the very early years of the story that I just told, the biggest thing was communication and speed. And we're in a commodity business, right? There's a million lenders out there. Anyone can lend money. Anyone in this room can lend money. You got to figure out how to differentiate yourself.
Sure.
And even those things, people copycat. So like every time we differentiate, one of our competitors, you'll check their website, they're using the same terminology or the same this. And it's like, again, you constantly got to keep recreating the wheel.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
That's right. And so I stress every as we hire every employee, as we create a new process, it's all about making it easy on the client, speed, communicate. I don't want a lot of time to lag. I want everything crisp. And so I preach that. And, fortunately, Molly and Janine over the years who've been with Direct the longest of the current group of people have really taken that to heart and helped build out. Molly has been amazing with the technology, and Janine is like the best closer, I think, in the city of Philadelphia.
Wow.
And we just take that stuff very seriously because we can't, differentiation. And by the way, lots of lenders could say we take speed seriously, we take communication seriously, but they don't necessarily do it. Or I don't think they do it quite as good as we are. I just think we're better by margin, right? We do the little differences add up over the course of a deal or a transaction. And I think we do all those little things just enough better than other people to really create some impact.
To have him hanging up the phone on other lenders.
Yeah.
Even at the end of the process. So the loan is closed. I sell the house, right? It's happened a couple times where Jen, my wife, will get a call from Nicole Bells.
Right.
And she'll say, hey, we cut you a check after this close, because there's money that comes back and stuff sometimes. Everything is always wired except for this part, like
it's overages.
Yeah, right. Boom. And Nicole will call Jen and be like, "Hey, I wrote you a check. I'm just using around
6 months ago
for $1,500. Yeah, like not even that long.
Yeah.
You didn't deposit it yet. Well, what's up? Did you not get it? Because there's a lot of check fraud in the mail nowadays, right? Yeah. And Jen will be like, "Oh, hold on, let me look." Boom. Oh shit, no, we didn't get it. And then Nicole will be like, "Fuck, got another one stolen out of the mail or something like that." Yeah. Like, all right, I'm gonna recut you to say. Yeah. So it's like even that, like you're checking up on. Like we didn't even think, I'm sure we would catch it 6 months later.
Right.
But like Nicole's catching shit
Yeah, we go
And
over that.
she's not doing that just for us. No. She's doing that for everybody. Like, she's on top of shit.
Yeah. I mean, she brings me a list every quarter, maybe every 6 months, I don't know how often, of that sort of situation. And we're like, that's their money, not ours. Let's go back. We got to go back to them and let them.
And that's a great post-closing follow-up anyway, right? It's like you want to make sure, obviously, they get their funds. It's not, and then just the thought to him, it's like, well, yeah, she checked on me. She cares about my money. So I like working with those guys. So it's both, right? It's client retention on our end from the bank standpoint. We're always going to set up a strong follow-up game, 7 months. So you earn, 7 days, 30 days, 180.
What was the original question?
Because I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, Nick, uses you guys, has access to you guys, but who else can get access to you guys? Like, where are they going? Smallest, biggest? Like, how are they coming to you?
So all shapes and sizes.
Okay.
I mean, we definitely have clients that are first timers. It's a nice piece of our business. Lawyers, doctors, city workers who want to get into real estate, take a class. Maybe they're being mentored by somebody, and they want to borrow money. We definitely do those sorts of loans. And then we have clients.
I can see that you guys being very helpful there because of how like Lindsay and Dan are, especially like Lindsay reaches out on the phone, which I love. It's like maybe they know I'm more of a phone call guy. Maybe that's why they do it. I don't know. But I can imagine like Lindsay really like helping somebody that's new, like through this shit.
We try to, we're not mentors in that way, but we do think of ourselves as sort of partners is not the best term. But
it's just his personality. I'm saying like he's perfect for that. Like the way
Lindsay,
that
for
he
sure,
talks to people.
But direct as a whole, we have input. And so we talk people out of deals in that situation. Sometimes we say your budgets, we go and we say, hey, you're missing stuff in your budget. You need a contingency, or there's no way you're doing your HVAC for this. There's no way your electric costs that. Explain this to me. And we get into a dialogue and a conversation about it.
So you're not just turning it away first time investors like some hard money lenders will turn around and say, hey, you don't have a track record. We're not taking a risk on you.
We have clients that we work with that we've done 20 deals with, and we did their first loan. That's an extreme example.
But that's a loyalty piece, right? You gave them their first opportunity. Yeah. Why would they go anywhere else until that relationship kind of exhausts itself?
We've had conversations. Like Lindsay's called me and he's like, hey, like your margins are so much better than a lot of our other investors that I'm seeing. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm an open book. Here you go. This is what I'm doing. So like he's even asking me questions and learning stuff. And
you're so hands on. Your costs are lower than a lot of other people. You're also getting good buys. Yeah. You know what you want.
Yeah.
And so there definitely are people out there that just need to keep the buys going, keep the machine going. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they're accepting lower margins, or maybe they're not as hands on. They got to pay a contractor fee or something like that.
And that's what I preach about all the time. Like he's probably tired of fucking hearing me say it. Like, how the fuck why are some of these guys investing? Well, what do you do? Like, why are you investing $250,000 to make 15 grand? Like, that's your goal. Like, that's beyond me.
Yeah. That's not one I have seen, but I definitely see people willing to make, 25 or 50 on that sort of investment, which I agree is not so fun sounding, but, we deal. Back to the question, we deal with big developers who are doing 200 unit buildings and just need our help to buy the land or get some entitlement funding. So we do small rehabs, we do big new construction, small new construction. We're doing a 16 unit new construction for somebody right now. We just finished a 14 unit that we just got paid off on. We do land development.
I was going to say land acquisition. Do you finance on there too? Yeah,
huge. We're one of the early adopters on doing that sort of thing.
Do you have to be the first position mortgage on everything that you loan on?
Yeah,
but it could be on something else, right? If somebody owns another property outright, they can put that up as collateral.
Yeah, we take a lot of additional collateral, which allows us to lend higher loan to value percentages.
You can get more kind of instead of bringing unique cash strategies.
Yeah, right. We get very creative. Instead of bringing cash to the deal, you can bring a property to the deal, that sort of thing. If we were going to lend you 75% loan to value, maybe we'll lend you 80, 90, 100, 110 or 20% based on the additional collateral.
Oh, wow.
We do that a lot. We did that a lot more in our early days. That was fun. It was like playing Monopoly.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, we do a little bit less of that now.
Have you had to take much back from people?
Historically, no. There's always
that's a sign of a good hard money lender.
We really pride ourselves on that. There's always default situations going on. There's always workouts. Stuff happens, especially right. And life happens. It's not like there's bad people. It's
circumstances certainly pop up.
People happen.
That stuff. Yeah,
people happen. Life happens. Yeah, and look, there are bad people too. But and as we've grown, the statistics have changed, and so we bake in now a little bit higher default, a little bit higher, whatever. But generally speaking, our default rate's very low. Our late, our late payment percentages are very low.
Is that another reason why you want to stay local and not?
That was my next question. Where's the lending footprint? Are you PA, Jersey, New York, or where are you guys at?
Yeah, so huge piece Philadelphia County.
Okay.
And then all the surrounding counties. So it's southeastern Pennsylvania mostly, and then South Jersey, Jersey Shore. We were open-minded to doing some Delaware stuff. We've never really gotten into that market. We're open-minded to some New York stuff. We've used some additional collateral in those markets, but
It's client specific too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if somebody has a good relationship with you, you're like, all right,
we could
travel out a little bit.
Yeah, we could easily look. I fall in hard money. I don't really think of myself as hard money, but I am. We think of ourselves a little bit more conventional. We compete as much with traditional banks as we do with other hard money in terms of like our client base and client pool. But it's very block to block. It's very borrower to borrower. It's very neighborhood to neighborhood, city to city. And we could easily do what some of the other lenders locally have done and nationally, frankly, and expand, go to open other markets. I just like being able to get to the real estate. I like it local. We do well local. I don't like the idea of relying on a third-party appraisal, although we get them on certain deals, to tell me what something's worth. I don't want to do a deal in Charleston, South Carolina, and never see the property, never meet the borrower, never nothing, just be everything's through email or FaceTime and based on a third party. It's just not the kind of business I want. Now, one day it might turn into that because we just get too big, and in order to bring in third-party capital or for whatever reason.
Or you want to retire and get bought out.
All that might turn into that one day. But as far as, that's not my goal.
Which, look, I like it too because my model's the same way. We can get licensed in 50 states. We can write anywhere. But why would I want to write a loan in California for a friend of mine when I'm a referral-based sales person, ultimately, right? I'm going to mess up somewhere along the line.
Right.
You won't know the local rules. You won't know the muni rules.
Right.
And if we're sitting here preaching local, then give it to someone local, right? Give it to somebody that's going to say, hey, Ryan really set me up here. Give him a call back if you're looking to do anything in Philly or the area.
That's not to say people can't do it. Lots of people do it.
Sure.
Lots of people are very successful doing it.
We have guys on all the time that run a business that do it outside of their own backyard, and it's based off the models. Right. But I like the tangible part of it, right? Like, and it sounds like you've built it from 2 to 1 million or 100 million because of the tangible part of it. You see who you're working with, you know who you're working with, and their sites. Yeah. So
like
the risk factor is super low.
I did a shore property, and like I called you guys, and I'm like, fuck. I was kind of like, I was gonna say, I don't know that they do this, and I run the deal past you guys, and you guys were like, yeah, absolutely want to do it with you. You guys were like, the numbers make so much sense. Let's fucking do it.
We've been trying to get into the shore for a while. It's been hard. And we've done a whole lot of loans at the shore over the last 4 or 5 years, but
because there's like a small group of the same dudes down there,
and they're all loyal as they should be. Yeah, and it's hard to break in.
They all loan to each other and shit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's no different from what we're talking about here in Manayunk and the people that you just named, all the usual suspects. It's the same exact thing.
Correct.
They're hard. It's hard to infiltrate. They'll teach you, and if you can get in, you'll learn. But it's hard.
They're
not schooling you for free.
I was walking into the supply houses.
That's why referrals are so important.
Exactly that, and that's what you said to yourself, like, oh, I'm a little more introvert and I don't do all the salesy stuff. You don't have to. Most of the top sales guys that I know aren't doing that anyway. There's some that love it, and there's some that are like, hey, I want to be home with my family. I'll sit in front of my desk 9 hours a day, but I will get every single thing done.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love that.
I was walking into supply houses down the shore, and dudes are looking at me like the music stops, and I'm like,
the new guys in town.
And I'm like, oh shit, they're looking at me like I look at dudes that are buying a house in Roxborough. Who the fuck are you?
They're not so bad once you get in, but no, I mean that's like it's a hard market to break into because there's 5, 6, 7, 8 players down there that. Yep. It's hard to infiltrate. Yep. So, but Philly guys always make their way down there. They're buying businesses down there. We're planting our roots. So hopefully that's the next episode that we'll be doing something multi-unit down there for real.
Okay. So let's touch on something that you briefly touched on. You said you're stepping away from doing a lot of the apartment investments. I
took a break from it. I mean, I bought a few properties since I said 2019, 2020, since COVID. I bought a small handful of properties with partners. But it's not, I haven't been gangbusters because I've been focused and really trying to grow out direct, which we've been successful at. But I'm right now, I'd say over the last 3 or 4 months, sort of mentally ready to get back into it. And I'm having those conversations, starting to look at deals. Not sure when I will take the plunge, but I'm ready to start growing my multifamily portfolio. Not doing fixed, not doing single, but 30, 40, 50, whatever unit buildings, trying to get back into that.
So you start, I would love to buy something bigger, but I don't want to manage it. That's the worst part of this game is property management by far. Like
it's rough.
Well, you have the property management company too. So now I guess, so he buys a multi-unit 200 doors or something like that. He doesn't want to do it. He calls your other company now, or is that all one and the same?
I mean, run under one roof, but separate P&Ls, separate teams. Yes and no. I mean, yes, we don't get a lot of that, to be honest. Like,
okay.
Most of the guys are managing their own stuff, or they're growing, or they have a relationship already, and we don't pitch it that way. Like I'm very careful.
You want to keep the money and management separate and the business is separate, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if someone wants to call me and we'll manage it, sure. But we also keep it local, so management will do mostly Northwest Philly.
Okay.
We don't go all over town. But also, like, I don't want somebody to think that I always have my hand out. So I don't want to be like, hey, when that property's ready, call me, give me a call. We'll manage it for you. Like, they know what we do. If they want to call us, they'll call us. And we're marketed out there in the world. Our signs are up and whatever. But we're not cross-selling that aggressively between property management. We cross-sell, but not cross-sell property management and mortgages. There is some overlap, but it's not, like a hard, constant conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
So you bought your first property in your late 20s.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're in your 40s. How many units are under your belt now?
Not as many as I took a break from buying, so it's not as many as it could be. But I personally have an ownership interest in probably about 250 units, something like that. And then we manage.
I like how you say that so nonchalantly, just 250.
I was just going to say, hold on, are you talking about your personal doors? Because that's insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't own I don't own 100%.
I didn't want the camera to catch my look. Like, what's this guy say?
Yeah. Well, Frank, I mean, if you had asked me that question in 2019, I'd have said I'd have 1,000 by now. But I made a conscious decision Direct is, more than doubled. Almost, I wouldn't say tripled, probably tripled since the time I made the decision to slow up on real estate acquisitions. And I think for me, it was the right call.
Sure.
And
some people equate amount of units that people own as to how successful they are. And I would argue that it's the quality of the units that they own. Because I know guys that own hundreds of units, and I also know like one of my buddies, he's an older guy, and I'm friends with his kids and everything, and he owns about 8 duplexes owned.
Right, pretty clear.
Outright.
Yeah.
I would argue that he's living better than the people that I know that own 100 and some units with partners and all the stuff and
leverage,
low margin rates.
I would agree, yeah. And there's there's a million ways to slice it in that sort of way. And, there's a lot of ways, I think, to quantify success. And, some people quantify how big I can make my company, how many units I can have, how much in receivables do I have, all these sort of things. But my metrics for me were different, and I look at it in two ways. One is, what's my personal bottom line? Not how big is the company, how many loans are we doing? But like I could do way more loans if I partnered with a private equity company.
Sure.
And went national with sophistication. I could have $1 billion company.
But it would affect your quality of life and your family and your happiness.
And I would own less, and I'd personally probably want to do as well. So so there's that. But then there's all these other intangibles, like how are my employees treated? What are their compensation packages? What's their quality of life? What's my office environment like? What's my relationship with my business partners like? What's my home life like? So there's all these other variables that measure success, and that the number of units and how much money you're making is just one small piece of it. And so it's a big bucket. And you can't forget any of those, or you could go down, who knows where you're going to go.
Yeah, it's funny that you said it, because you mentioned all your employees' names, first, last name, and right off the bat. There's other guys that, if you come out with the plan, say, hey, we're going to grow this thing to X, and we're going to sell this thing, and you let your people know that, I think, okay, well, you're not going to get that, right? Because they're not going to, who's going to make all the money?
Right.
You.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
They're not.
Yeah.
But no, I love that, because you don't need to go. Well, like, why do you need to go national at 40, at 45, and this is the vision for your company? If you want a good footprint in the area, like, do you have to go out west? Maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't. Who knows if the opportunity comes up?
Right.
But
you got to be open-minded.
I like being able to
you got to be
sleep.
open-minded. Like you said, you could say no, but you take the meeting, you can hear it out, and if you're ready for the next wave, if that does come up,
I like being able to sleep at night. Yeah. And sometimes when you're running with your choke out and you're doing too much, shit happen. You're always worrying. Dude, I fucking lay down, and like the things that I have to like pop in my head now are so minimal, and I'm fucking happy. Yeah. I'm happy. All the people around me are fucking happy. Everyone is content with their lives. Like that to me is a measure of success now, where it used to be how much money can I put in the bank? How much property can I own? All that stuff. It's the people around me. If everyone is fucking happy and healthy and content, like that's what's important to me now.
That's right.
And the sanity.
And at some level, the goal is to try to do both, right?
I was just going to say, you got to do both, because as you say that, you guys are going to go out right away and hustle right away, after this. Listen, I know all three of us are on the hips. So, obviously, as we kind of wrap up the show and the episode, because there's a million things we could touch on. And what I like most about this is, you're not this guy that started at 20 years old. I'm going to be the finance guy. I'm going to be a bank guy. But you run this now, right? Yeah. Like, it's just you took the opportunity. You had the stones to call guys that are smarter than you, that fill up rooms than you, and you roll with it. And he picked you for a specific reason. And now you're handpicking guys without really even kind of knowing it, that you're doing the same damn thing.
And the properties that you own are, I don't know of all of them. I know of some of them. They're quality properties. Like you guys are underwriting things properly, and you're going after quality. Like, just for instance, the one that you guys did with BSP on Roxborough Ave, that's like quality fucking building.
Yeah. What's that? The one across from Kendrick Rec?
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Like, that's a great fucking property that you guys did together there, and then you guys are managing that, and like, it's well taken care of. Every time I drive past, there's no fucking trash laying around, and that's with like all of BSP properties. That's with all of like the Elfant Pontz properties. Like, you see that people that own them care about the shit.
Pride in ownership.
Yes.
And we have a great management team too. It's over the years, that's taken on different forms as well as we've grown. But a great team in place there who also care a lot about the people that live in our buildings.
Sure.
So it's not just about making money. Obviously, we're in real estate to generate revenue.
Sure.
But they're getting out there, they're meeting with the people, making sure the landscaping's nice, the trees are trimmed, that there's no trash, there's no leaks, there's parking lots are clean, no vandalism. I mean, doing our best anyway.
It's well lit, it's safe.
Yeah, you got to be proud of that stuff. And look, stuff happens in real estate and property management. You can't please everybody at every moment.
Absolutely cannot.
And bad things, unfortunate things happen, and you just try to clean them up, and rectify them going forward. But we do our best.
But when you focus on those processes and your people have that similar mindset, that equates to less turnover rate, right? People being happy, and then those people are now referring their friend, like, oh, you should rent from this company. Yeah. Like, so it's like you have to do less. So when you're doing the extra steps daily, you have to do less in the long run. So you have to deal with less of the bullshit, less of the evictions, less of like, the whole broken glass type shit. So like when you're focusing on that shit every day, and everybody on your team is worried about the company as a whole and doing the right thing, like failure is just not going to fucking happen.
You got to treat your people right. You got to treat your clients right. There is a lot of competition out there. And your employees will leave you, and your clients will leave you. You got to figure out whatever. Everyone's got their own little model, their own way to do things and whatever. But if you're not doing those two things right, you're going to learn really quick. You're going to learn the hard way that you're not doing them right, because people aren't going to stick with you.
Yeah. And you said it, there's a ton of competition in there. But even small things like this, right? He'll come on this show. Guess who I'm calling if I have a question today? It's going to be your team, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm excited to hear the answer to this question. What's next for you guys? Because everybody thinks it's always like global domination. We're going to take over everything. You seem like things are good, slow
local
and steady,
domination.
local domination,
domination,
just with good, consistent work over time. So I'm curious to see what's next.
Me too. I'm curious.
I love it.
I don't know the answer. I mean, I don't. we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep adding team members. We're having discussions about focusing on some other local markets, maybe going out to New Hope, maybe Phoenixville, going and trying to focus in on some of the surrounding counties and doing more business out there. There's some other lines of business that we're looking at within that sort of relate well with what we do, that we could also do in the market. So there are a lot of opportunities that we're looking at and thinking about, while not forgetting what our base is, and our base is right here at home, and lending money and doing the lending thing. And on the real estate side, just keep doing what we're doing and add some properties and grow some units and not get greedy.
Don't keep a small portfolio of 250. You got to blow that thing up.
So I didn't mean to come. I didn't mean for that to come out that way.
I got two questions for you, and then we'll wrap this up. Number one, as a business owner, as an investor, as a father, as a husband, what are you doing for yourself to stay mentally and physically well? And then the second one is, just share with us like a great lesson that you learned from a bad thing that happened in business, a mistake.
So I don't know if I should admit this on camera, but I do 3 things for myself. I meditate every day. Great. I take 15 minutes every single night and I meditate. And that's been life-changing for me. I've been doing that for about 5 years. It's been amazing. I paint. I'm a painter.
Cool. Your mom's an artist, you said.
My mom's an artist. I have a studio in my house. I paint all the time.
So that's your therapy, a little bit.
I don't even think, I just love it.
Just love it.
I'm
That's
just
great.
obsessed with it. I love it. I paint all the time. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I go to all their games. I like picking them up from school, all that sort of stuff. And I love my wife. I spend a lot of time with my wife.
What sports are they playing?
My son's a big basketball player. My daughter's a swimmer and volleyball.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're good kids. They're smart kids. They're funny. We all could talk about our children in
sure.
growing ways. So mine aren't, but I love my kids,
Sure.
just like you love yours. So those are the things I do to keep myself kind of mentally there. But it's a race. I mean, it's constant, right? I mean, our personalities.
Someone like you slowing down for 15 minutes, people are like, "Oh, that's nothing."
Yeah.
It's everything.
It's vacations or work. I mean, it's constant.
Yeah.
You were just on one last week.
But you got to find the beauty is there's a saying somebody just said to me, like, I work 24/7, 365. So that I don't need to work an 8-hour day, right?
That's right.
And that's the reality. Like I go away for a week to Europe, and every night I'm checking my emails. During the day, I'm like, getting gelato at some square, and I'm like sitting there emailing with Molly about a loan request situation. So it's like, I love it, and sometimes I'm like, I just need a break, but I love it, and that's what kind of drives all of us.
But your move, it's funny you said it, because my son James this morning even said, "Dad, do you get a Christmas break?" And I kind of chuckle. I'm like, well, no, we never get a break, right? But I am fortunate enough, if I want to go see their Christmas play or tree lighting, guess who's not missing it?
Right.
I'm not missing it, because I work those Saturday nights or Sunday
That's
or
right.
prep. And I think it's a common theme with most people we've had in these chairs, right? It's like their family, right? They're taking time for yourself, because you can't do all these things if you don't. You just are not going to be the top function and level of yourself.
Right.
So we love that part of it. That's why Nick always asks. It's like, what the hell are these super successful people, like, what are they doing for themselves?
Right.
Which is great.
And then what was a mistake or a bad thing that happened in business that you really learned a valuable lesson from?
I was going to say, we got another hour.
I've made so many mistakes. I think that's a little bit of a loaded question. I'm sure if I had some time to think about that, I can come up with something really good. But the first thing that just pops to my mind is, I think early on in my career, when I became a partner, I think I was a little too aggressive.
In what way?
We were a very small company, and I came out of nowhere, like gangbusters, and all of a sudden this little 27, 28-year kid is running things, and he thinks he knows everything, quote unquote.
Chest puffed out. I got to take over and show these guys what's up.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that early on, and I don't think it was done. It wasn't done intentionally. It was sort of because, like, it was subconscious. That's how I reacted, maybe. And I think there was a good blend between, like, being humble and learning with Bob and doing my thing, trying to grow the business, and also running the company behind the scenes. And I think if I could do it over again, it's something I tell a couple people that work for me now. It's like, just take a step back, take a deep breath, think of the perspective of the person who's talking to you, and then go from there. You don't know everything. You don't have all the answers. Don't even act or pretend to be in that place. And I think for a short period of time in my career, maybe I was a little bit over my skis in that regard. And I think as I've grown, I've sort of, the meditation has helped me a lot with that, sort of recognizing, my place, my space, listening and that sort of thing. So I think that's the first thing that comes to mind, but there's plenty. I mean, I've made tons of mistakes. I mean, we all do.
Well, when you lend us money for the Jersey Shore project, that'll be our next big mistake. No, honestly, the perspective on these things are incredible because you seem obviously healthy, happy, and willing to share all the knowledge with us today, which is awesome. So we really thank you for coming on. Again, this is Jared Pontz. He is the owner and operator of Direct Mortgage, and he also runs Elfant Pontz Properties. So, man, great stuff. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate the business that we do together and what we're going to continue to do.
Likewise.
Until next episode, guys. Thanks a lot. See ya.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.